All right, so chapter 2.6 is problem solving in geometry. We're going to look at a few problems from the chapter 2 review, and this is on page 206 in your textbook. Problem 68 says, find the measure of each angle of the triangle shown in the figure. So let me roughly draw what this figure looks like. It's a horrible triangle. Let's try again. There you go. Still horrible, but a little better. Okay. This is A, B, that's horrible, C. This angle is 2x. This angle is 3x. And this one is just x. So here's my triangle, and I have three angles, A, B, and C. And it says find the measure of each angle of the triangle. So I'm looking for angle A, angle B, and angle C. Those are all my unknowns. And they told me angle A was 2x, angle B is x, and angle C is 3x. But what do I know about a triangle? What do I know about the sum of angles in a triangle? They equal 180. So if I add up all the angles, so angle A plus angle B plus angle C has to equal 180 degrees if I add them all up. Well, what is angle A? It's 2x plus x plus 3x equals 180. Now I can solve for x, right? I have some like terms on the left side, so let's put those together. So I have 2x plus x plus 3x is going to be how many x's? 6x. So I have 6x equals 180 degrees. Now I still need to solve for x, which means I need to get him all by himself. 6 is hanging around on his territory, and it's multiplying, which means I'm going to divide by 6. And I end up with x equals 30 degrees. Well, who was x? That was angle B. So angle B equals 30 degrees. Did I do that correctly? Let's check my work real quick. 2x plus x plus 3 is 6x. Yep, I did. Trying to trust myself. I can. Good job. Which equals 180. I get 6x equals 180 divided by 6. You get x equals 30. Who's x? Angle B. So angle B equals 30. Okay, angle A is 2x, which means angle A is going to be 2 times 30, which is 60 degrees. And angle C is 3x, which is going to be 3 times 30, which is 90 degrees. So let's recap. This is problem solving. And if you remember, the first step in problem solving, my first step, is to figure out what are they looking for. That's step 1. What are they looking for? They want these angles, angle A, angle B, angle C. Step 2 was, well, what did they give you? What did they give you? So they told me that angle A was 2x, angle B was x, and angle C was 3x. That's information they gave me. So we'll call this step 2, is figuring out what they gave you. And I drew a picture to help me. Step 3 is what's in your toolbox? What do you know? Well, I know if I add up all the angles in the triangle, their sum will equal 180 degrees. That's what I know. 1 second, my phone's ringing. Okay, sorry. Step 4 says, all right, well, now I need to answer the question. Fill in what they gave you with what you know and solve for x. And you end up with angle A is 60 degrees, angle B is 30 degrees, and angle C is 90 degrees. All right, let's look at number 69, still from 2.6 in chapter 2 review on page 206. Okay, let's look at number 69. In a triangle, the measure of the first angle is 15 degrees more than twice the measure of the second angle. The measure of the third angle exceeds that of the second angle by 25 degrees. What is the measure of each angle? So what are they looking for? They're looking for the measure of each angle And how many angles are there? There's 3. We see a first, second, and third. Okay, good. They gave me some information. They said the measure of the first angle, so I'm going to say first angle, is, we use equal, 15 degrees more than, so 15 more than means plus, twice 2, the measure of the second angle, times second angle. I scribble, I'm sorry. But you can read it if you're listening to me. The measure of the third angle exceeds that of the second angle by 25 degrees. So the third angle is equal to the second angle plus 25 degrees. It says the measure of the third angle exceeds that of the second angle by 25 degrees. So whatever the second angle is, the third angle is going to be 25 degrees more than it. Awesome. So here's, I'm looking for the measure of 3 angles, and these are the information that they gave me. Now I need to actually solve for these angles, right? If I look at the first equation and I look at the second equation, what do you see that they have a common trend of? They both use the second angle when talking about the other ones, which means my second angle is really my reference angle. So I'm going to go ahead and label my reference angle is really the second angle. And since he's unknown, I'm going to call him y. Okay, so now I'm going to go back to the equations I wrote up, and I'm going to replace the second angle with the letter y, or the variable y. So I have the first angle. So first angle is equal to 15 plus 2y. And I have the third angle is equal to 25 plus y. And the second angle is just equal to y, like I wrote here. Awesome. So they're looking for the measure of each angle. They gave me this information right here. I had to figure out, well, what's the reference angle? And I translated this information into real equations right here. Good. So what do I know about angles in a triangle? It says in a triangle, the measure so and so, blah, 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 right? So what do I know about the sum of angles in a triangle? If I add all angles up in the triangle, they should equal 180. So if I take the first angle plus the second angle plus the third angle, I should get 180 degrees, which means that's the same as saying 15 plus 2y plus 25 plus y has to equal 180 degrees. So I have the equation with one unknown, which means I can solve for it, right? So let's put our like terms together. Let's change colors on my pen. Let's do a red. So we have 2y plus y is 4y plus 15 plus 25 is 40 equals 180. So I have 4y plus 40 equals 180. Now I need to solve for y, which means I need to get him by himself. So the first thing I'm going to move is this plus 40, and I'm going to move it by subtracting, because that's the opposite of adding. And I get 4y equals 140. Now I still got to get y by himself, but he's being multiplied by a 4, so I'm going to divide by a 4. If I divide by 4, I end up with y equals, let's see if I can do this, 35 degrees. So y was the second angle. So the second angle equals 35 degrees, which means now I can get the first angle and the third angle. Well, the first angle was 15 plus 2y, which is 15 plus 2 times 35, which is 85 degrees. So the first angle is 85 degrees. The third angle was equal to 25 plus y, so that's 25 plus 35, which is 60 degrees. So let's do a recap, because this is a long problem. The first thing you got to do is figure out, well, what are they looking for? I'm looking for the measure of three angles. What did they give me? Even if you have to write it out using words like I did, first angle, third angle, second angle. Then you got to say, all right, well, I see a common trend. Both equations state the second angle, which means the second angle is going to be my reference angle, and I'm just going to name it a variable, and I chose y. And then from there, you're going to take those given equations and rewrite them once again. So I get the first angle is equal to 15 plus 2y. The third angle is equal to 25 plus y. And the second angle, well, it's just y. I picked it that way. And then I use what I know about triangles and their angles. So this is what I know, or what I like to call information inside my toolbox. I know if I add up the angles in a triangle, so there's the first angle, there's the third, and there's the second. If I add them up, their sum equals 180 degrees. And then from here, all I got to do is step 4, which is answer, which means solve the equation. Solve for y. But once I get y, I can't stop because it said find the measure of each triangle or each angle, which means I still have to keep going. So I found the second angle, great, which means it'll lead me to my first and my third. All right, number 73. The measure of the supplement of an angle is 45 degrees less than 4 times the measure of the angle. Find the measure of the angle and its supplement. Okay, so I have another word problem. First thing I've got to figure out, well, what are they looking for? The measure of the angle. So the measure of the angle and its supplement. Okay, good. Now, that's the first thing I look for. That's what I'm looking for. Second thing, what did they give me? The measure of the supplement of an angle. So the measure of the supplement is, which means equals, 45 degrees less than, well, remember when we see less than, we know we're subtracting, but we got to flip the order. So instead of saying 45 minus 4 times the measure of the angle, it's going to be 4 times the measure of the angle minus 45. Less than, you got to flip it. So we have 4 times the measure of the angle, I'm going to put in parentheses the angle, minus 45. And that's what they gave me. Good. So I'm looking for the measure of the angle and its supplement. They told me the measure of the supplement of the angle is 4 times the angle minus 45. Now I get to dig in my toolbox and figure out, well, what do I know? Well, first of all, what does it mean to be the supplement of an angle? So let me get a different color. So supplement of an angle. So if I take two angles, so let's think about this. Supplementary means if I take two angles and add them together, their sum equals 180, right? So the supplement of an angle is really going to be 180 minus that angle. Think about it. If I know the angle, and I'm looking for the other one, how do I find it? I take 180 minus the angle. So this is the supplement. There you go. Supplement is 180 minus the angle. And the angle is what was used in what they gave me, right? Which means I need to label it. So my reference angle is going to be, let's call it y again. So let's call it y. So the reference angle is going to be y. The supplement is 180 minus the angle, which is the same as saying 180 minus y. Good. So now I use my toolbox Step 4 says, well, answer the problem, answer the question. So I'm going to rewrite this equation using this information. So the measure of the supplement, well, that's 180 minus y equals 4 times the angle. Well, the angle is just y minus 45. And then and I'm looking for the measure of the angle and its supplement. So the measure of the angle and its supplement. So at this point, I'm going to solve this equation. Okay, so when I solve the equation, I have to, first of all, see if I can simplify. Well, it's simplified enough. Step 2 says, well, get your variables on the same side. This one has a, this variable, this y, has a coefficient of -1, and this one has a coefficient of 4. So I'm going to move the -1y, and I'm going to move it by, what's opposite of subtracting? Adding. So I'm going to add y to both sides of the equation, or the equal sign. So I end up with 180 equals 5y minus 45. So now I need to isolate y. So let's move this up here a little bit so I can do a little work on it. 180 equals 5y minus 45. Well, I need to isolate the variable, which means I'm going to move the minus 45 by adding 45 to both sides. So add 45 to both sides of the equal sign. I end up with 5y equals 225. Good. Awesome. So now I need to isolate y still, and 5 is multiplying by y, which means I'm going to do the opposite of multiplying, which is divide. So I'm going to divide by 5. And I end up with y equals 45. So y equals 45 degrees, and y is what? That's the angle. The angle is 45 degrees, which means its supplement is going to be 180 minus 45, which is 135 degrees. So the measure of the angle, is 45 degrees, and the measure of its supplement is 135 degrees.